Hello and welcome, beautiful souls. On this podcast, I talk about the spiritual, the mystical, the psychological, the new earth, ghosts, aliens, and so much more. Sometimes interviewing fascinating guests, and other times it's just me talking about the wonders of life. Welcome to Dreamscape.
You're just like taking up the whole of my screen.
Hello.
Hello. Woo! Oh, you just look like the beautiful. Well, I described you yesterday to my friend Lucy. Heidi is like, she is like the little mermaid, the beautiful, glowing goddess mermaid.
Oh, that is so sweet. Oh my God. And you're just absolutely stunning, gorgeous dancer. Oh, you're just beautiful.
Thank you.
In and out as well. So I'm so happy that you want to do this with me. So
I know it's been a long time. You've been asking me to do this for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And I've never quite felt ready. I'm just like, I'm not ready to like share my experience with anybody because it's sometimes hard to express to anyone when it feels really hard.
Yeah.
But then, when you asked me when I got back from my experience, it was like, I'm so ready. There's no better time than the now.
I know. I was so pumped for this, like for you to share this experience with me and obviously the listeners who are listening right now. And for the listeners, I just want to say that Amy is like a lifelong friend. Like we met in college in Edinburgh, so we've known each other for like what? How long? Like ever?
Like 20 years. It's
20
been
years.
Like
yeah.
half of my life.
Which is weird because I don't know, we still feel like 25ers.
I know, like since I've left you and we've went on our journeys, like I still see you as that person. Like, so in my eyes, you're still 21. And like we just
that's how I see you. Through... Well, I mean, I don't see you like 16 because you were 16, right? When we
No. I was like, I know I'm getting a little bit gray and stuff, trying to like cover it up, but 16, yeah,
16,
sweet, innocent 16.
Yeah, not so innocent, but no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm kidding. I am now. I would describe myself as angelic.
Oh, you are absolutely. Amy is an amazing dancer. She actually has her own company called Fitz Kids. Is it called Fitz Kids or is that so
Fit Kids,
and she's just really creative, so I'm talking to you in like third person but just explaining a little bit about you. And we've just always like she's like a sister. We're like sisters, really. It's you, me and Gemma from the halls that we just we've just like always had been in contact since college.
Always had a gorgeous connection.
And we're in certain ways we're quite different, but then we're really alike in a lot of other ways. And we just, it's like, I don't know, it's like the sisterhood between us. It's just really beautiful. I'm so happy.
I think we've always had that understanding of each other, and we've been quite open and accepting, and we've just helped each other through a lot of our journey, and we've stayed connected, but at the same time we're so far away. We're also
we are, because I mean, you're in Scotland. I am in Sweden, obviously Sweden, and and Gemma is in Kelso on the borders. So, but we just stay in contact, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful friendship. And as some of you know, obviously I have done ayahuasca, and I told Amy about it, the ups and downs and all its glory, but the huge benefits of healing that So I do, and I do have another episode where I talk about my experience, and I have another episode with Jonathan the Potter, who has like retreats, who does these beautiful retreats that anyone listening now can go and listen to as well if you want to know a bit more about ayahuasca and what it does. But Amy, today you're gonna talk a little bit, a lot, I hope, about your experience. Like, I want to know every detail. I'm like dying.
I'm like a little child, like. Oh, I don't know. I'm just like, my feet are tapping, and I'm like, I haven't really been able to express myself fully since the experience. Well, I have in my head, and very few people that I can speak to about this experience, because it is quite unique.
Yeah, I think if you haven't done it, it's very hard to explain. Like,
Heidi, you explained to me very, very well when you came out of ayahuasca, but I had absolutely no idea, like, just how much of an experience it really is. And until you are ready and you feel that calling, will you ever understand? But yeah, I think we can only share our experiences and hopefully inspire others to dig a little bit deeper, or go and do ayahuasca, or it might not be that person's calling, but it definitely, by sharing the experiences, it definitely sort of opens you up to facing the fears of life and maybe what's holding you back.
It's beautifully said. And yes, because it is a scary journey, like going on a healing journey and really digging deep. And that's why a lot of people tend to avoid it. But you were like, damn it, I'm done. You were so in the place I was before I did my practice as well. This whole sort of, I am done. Like, what,
I was
you've
done.
done, and you've done so many healing, other healing things that you do. You meditate, you really try and get a perspective of yourself. You're really good at that. You're really good at going into the spiritual, of seeing yourself. You're not always like, oh, it's everybody else's fault. You're not, you really have done the work.
I was trying so hard to fix myself. Like, I was trying hypnosis before I went to ayahuasca. I done quite a lot of the spiritual side, but I even thought, I have never sat down and spoken to a counselor, like, for like counseling. And I was just pulling out all of the stops to try and feel better and try and get out of this whole feeling stuck and feeling in a rut. And I remember it was like 2 weeks ago, sitting, having a conversation on Zoom with a counselor. And in that moment, I'm like, it's right for some people. But in that moment, it was like, I can't even speak about this anymore. This is not even something I need to speak about. This is deeper, and it's in me. It's like emotion. It's so strong. And I just didn't know what to do. And I closed that off, the conversation with the counselor. And I just said, it's not for me. And that's fine. It was something that I tried. But I think when you get to that point where even putting my makeup on, like a week ago, this was not me. Like, I'm just like, I was just so excited to be here, to be alive. And I'm just like, I've got so much excitement. Like, I'm just like, wow, it's like a whole new life. But a week ago, I wouldn't be sitting here looking at myself. A week ago, was putting on my makeup was painful. It was like, I was so sad. Like, I had this horrible, dark, like, glooming cloud. And normally I can lift myself out of it. I can just pull myself together, put on the show, and do what I need to do. And whether I have to mask it, fake it till you make it, that kind of thing. But I couldn't even do that. It was like 2 weeks prior to ayahuasca. It was almost like, the way I can explain it is giving birth. The mother is preparing for their baby to arrive, and they start nesting and they start going like inwards. And I felt like that emotionally, mentally, physically. It was like I couldn't get out of it. I was in this like really gloom, dark place. I cried every day. I just felt so low, and I had never ever felt like that before. But it almost felt like a build-up of my whole entire life had just come to an end. It was like I don't even have the energy to like speak to people. And I remember it was a week ago, it was at work, and I love my job. Like, that's my happy place. That's where I go and I feel the love. And even that, on the Saturday just past, it was like everything just got too much. The kids were too much. It was like noise. It was like everything outside was going bzzz. And inside me was like this volcano. Like, I just wanted to erupt. And it's so hard to explain, but all these emotions and all of these feelings, and not being able to just do it anymore and live that life. So I got to the point where it was 2 days before going to ayahuasca, and a friend said to me, Amy, are you sure this is a good idea? Like, you're emotionally really, really like up and down, and it's like you're going to somewhere where it's a new place, you don't know anybody, and you're going to put yourself possibly through some more pain. And it was like, oh yeah, okay, maybe you're right. Like, I'm really emotionally not well at the moment. Like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just like going through a really, really tough part of my life. And so I messaged yourself, and you gave me some lovely, you didn't tell me what to do. You just said, you'll make the right decision for you. But you did give me some lovely insight, that there's no better place than now to do something like this. So I emailed the teacher, the shaman, at the center, and he said to me, it is your decision, but I have to tell you that this is part of ayahuasca working on you already. It's part of the process. You're going to feel this strong emotions in the lead up to ayahuasca. And in that moment, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But also, I need to add in, it was my time of the month. So it was almost...
We know what that can feel like, right?
Yeah, that's just like, oh my goodness, it was time of the month. So that on top of
God,
everything else. But knowing what I know about my time of the month, this was more. This was stronger, heavier, darker, deeper. It was just something really overwhelming that was happening in my life. And in that moment that I received the email back from Miguel, he said, once you get here, everything is going to be okay. And I just knew, I was like, right, okay, I have to go here. This is my calling. I'm going. So in that moment, it was like, I'm packing my bags, and then I felt really good again. It was like, I'm going. I'm going. I'm just like, I'm ready. I'm going to face my fears, and I'm going to do this. It's like, right, this is going to be a big moment in my life where I just felt it. It was like
It's
so
kind of like deciding to jump out of the plane, right? It's like you just decide, you know, it's going to be terrifying, but also exhilarating and so great, but you just have to decide.
And sometimes knowing that it's really scary in the process, and the heart's racing and the blood's pumping and the sweat and everything's just, but the moment you land, you are so happy and grateful that you've landed, because either you're alive or you've really had a lovely experience. But just that landing is like, so I packed my bags, I got ready, I said, okay, part of the fear was not knowing if I would be able to travel, because I was so emotionally exhausted. I didn't really know how I was just going to go through the airport with all these people and feel so, like, even going to the shops, it was like everything just felt so hard, and I was just so overwhelmed with life. But anyway, I was completely, I'm just trying to explain without too much detail. The journey to get from Scotland to Inverness to the destination was almost like I was on a boat and somebody was in the driving seat, and I just sailed there, and I got there so beautifully and peacefully, and I just arrived, and I don't really, it was so easy. It was just like, wow, I knew in the moment of that journey that everything just felt so right. It was like there was just no
resistance,
resistance. No resistance. I didn't have, just to add in, that my puppy, who's sound asleep here, big puppy, he chewed my glasses, my 5th pair of glasses. So my glasses weren't going to be ready. I know. It's like, I love him so much.
He's an expensive puppy.
Expensive dog. So he chewed, and they were very, they were not fixable. And so I went to order my new pair of glasses, and they weren't going to be ready until Tuesday. And I was leaving for the journey on the Monday night. So bear in mind that I'm traveling to a whole new place that I've never been before, really, really blind. Like my eyesight is like really bad, like bad. Okay, so you can understand why I've got a little bit of anxiety about traveling and getting on the right plane and getting it right.
Could have ended up anywhere.
I knew
it doesn't surprise me, mind you.
Some things don't change in that sense, but so I traveled on my journey with no glasses, and every step of the way there was somebody there guiding me, or going in the same direction, or saying, oh, I'm going that way anyway, I'll just follow me.
Wow.
And it was like the most amazing part of the journey was being guided by other people who were just there at the right time. So I started to feel better when I made the decision that I was definitely going. And then on the journey, it felt more at ease, and I felt more at peace. And then for the first time, Heidi, you're going to laugh at this because you know me very well. For the first time in my life, like with the whole traveling and everything, I was an hour early.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Like,
what?
Like,
what?
That was already a miracle.
It's a miracle. That is a sign, if ever I heard one.
It was like
Amy is never, ever on time.
There is no time.
Oh my God. Yeah, time is an illusion for sure. That is hilarious.
So that in itself was like a miracle. It was like, and Miguel, can you just remind me again of the time? Like it was such a moment, because I had, and this gets better, I had a whole hour before the ceremony started, and I was the first person there, and I got to choose my bed.
Oh,
it was like something so simple, but yet so important, of where you were going to be placed in this really scary part of the next journey, which scared you the most.
Yeah.
So I got there, and I kind of skipped a part. I met Miguel, who welcomed me in to the place. I don't know, the home, or where the ayahuasca ceremony was happening. And in that moment, I just knew, it was like my whole body, my heart, everything just, it was like, oh, I'm here now. Like the peace, I just felt so much love already to be there, that I didn't quite feel as scared. It was definitely that knowing that this is the right place to be at the right time.
I have to say, like, that's exactly what I felt as well the first time. Like, I was nervous, and I was saying that I don't need to take it when I'm there. Once I'm there, if I don't want to, I'm not going to. But I got there, and it's just like you mentioned there. It's like I got to the place, and this is 2 different places, by the way, completely 2 different retreats. But I also felt this overwhelming sense of love and security. Like, I can trust these people. I just knew it in my heart, and it's difficult for people to understand that, because everyone's like, a lot of people don't get that. But
when they're strangers and you don't know them, and
you're taking a form of plant medicine, or what others would say are drugs, but it's not like that. But
like hallucinogenic drugs. But I think until, as you say, you experience what it's like to feel a place that feels so right, you don't know, because I've not had those feelings before, because I've always been so doubtful. Is this right? Am I doing the right thing? Oh, I feel so anxious. Oh, I feel so scared. Oh, what's happening? And so I get so caught up in all of these things that are happening outside, and the ego and these feelings, that it almost draws me away from how I'm really meant to be feeling inside. But straight away was just knowing. There was no question. There was no what if, but why, anything like that. It just was like, yes, I'm here now, and this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So that was a gorgeous moment. So already I felt like something had shifted without even taking the medicine. And so in that moment, in the leading up, it already gave me some confidence and reassurance that whatever was going to happen was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of the first sort of chapter, if you like. And then come the chapter where you're actually going to take the medicine, and how does how did they prepare you for it once everybody had arrived, and what did they say? Like, how did they prepare you?
Okay, so we had a ceremony of 12. So the 12 people all came in. And as you can imagine, 12 different energies, different walks of life. Everybody's there for their own reasonings. And what I loved about it is, in the beginning, when we all gather around the table, in the beginning, and then we'll come to the end. But then that gathering round the end of the ceremony and we regather and talk about the experience is like night and day, chalk and cheese. I don't know, the opposites.
Yeah.
That was a really, really special moment because we're all sitting there very like, you know, like it's quite twitchy inside, and you can feel everybody's tension and the scaredness of it and people's anxieties and my own. And although it was like I'm in the right place, we all knew that we were going to do something that was going to be scary.
Yeah.
And even although a lot of the people had been there for the second time or the third time, it still didn't matter. It was still, every single experience of ayahuasca is different. It's never going to be the same. And it's always going to bring up what you need at that time, and it will show you what you need. So it's always going to be different. But we were round the table and it was very intense. You know, we were nervous. Like, I think there was like quite a few kind of like, you know, when it's like I'm this kind of person where it gets a bit twitchy and so he was very good at just, the energy is important. So he calmed, he done something. My English. He done something with his energy that just allowed the group to just settle and to just feel at ease. And the one important part of the ceremony, which is something that I'm bringing into my own daily practice, is the intention. So the intention for the day, the intention for the ceremony. What is your intention? And without that intention, it just allows you to really have that focus and what you want to get out of your day or the ceremony. And so we went around the circle and it came to myself. And this is not all about me, but it's sharing.
Well, it is in this interview. It's all about you.
Which is something that I've struggled with in the past. It's like, oh, you know, but anyway, it's so it came to the part of the intention. And at that point, I was very nervous about sharing my intention, as I'd just been through weeks and weeks of self-doubt and not feeling so confident about myself. So I was still, you know, although I knew I was at the right place, I still felt very vulnerable and very weak. And I just said in that moment that it's hard to explain everything until the lead up till now. But through my experiences, I just know that my intention is to let go, to just let go of all of the built up tensions of feelings of feeling rejected, feeling unwanted, feeling unloved, feeling not good enough, all of these horrible emotions that are inside of me that just, like, sometimes going to the supermarket and being overwhelmed by too much going on is painful, but it's not really the supermarket. It's not the food. It's not that's really that's bothering me. It's just because I've got so much inside of me that's hurting and it's painful. And I just wanted to, my intention was to let go of all of that and just be at peace. And that is really one of I hadn't felt peace without my chest and my heart being sore. It was like I was living in this life of not wanting to rock the boat because it would be too painful. And I hadn't realized of how much I'd been living like that until you go through this process of ayahuasca. And so we set the intention, and then it's then the energies in the room is just a bit more like calmer, and everything settles. And then we go to our beds and we get comfortable. And I was really proud of myself because I brought a hot water bottle, and everyone was like, oh, that's such a good idea. And I was like, yeah, I needed something warm. And if I was scared, it was like I either bring a teddy bear or a hot water bottle. So I thought, okay, I'm going to stay with the adult like here, and I'm going to bring my hot water bottle and have it just nice and close, and because it was my time of the month, remember? So I just wanted to feel if I had lost control, or I was going to lose control, all of the control, but I didn't know what was going to happen. But whatever happened, I had that sense of something warm and cozy next to me. And it was definitely one of
it's a good idea. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that either. That was a good idea, especially with the time of the month. And yes, so let's dive into the moment you start taking the medicine. And tell me all about it. Every detail.
It's like, this is the moment I've been waiting for my whole life. And just everything is led up until this moment of being in the most basic place ever with a sick bucket. And I've got them on right now, Heidi, my little slippers, my hot water bottle. And the only way that I can explain that feeling of either being in a prison and looking around and being in this cell with everybody else that just looks so scared that they've done something wrong, and we're all just waiting, for that moment. It's like, okay, this is the moment. Or you're in a hospital, and just these images of either being really sick or being in prison. And it wasn't a particular nice feeling in the beginning, because you're obviously going into the unknown. It's something that you've not experienced before, and you've listened to lots of podcasts, and you've listened to lots of other people's experiences. So I kept that. I kept that information. I was like, look, it's an experience, and just whatever happens, just allow whatever needs to come up. So I have to say that the 5 minutes before taking the ayahuasca, I went through the whole process in my head. Like my ego mind was going a million miles per hour. It was trying to do everything it could to reassure me that I was gonna be okay. And if something really bad happens, then it's meant to be like that, So I went through the whole kind of process. And then the master, the teacher, comes round everybody, and he says to open the ceremony, we start with this raw tobacco, and it's in a liquid form, and you put the liquid in the palm of your hand, and you slowly, softly just sniff it like that, and then you allow it to trickle down the back of your throat, and then you spit out in your bucket what you need to spit out. And this allows you, I might not have this information right, but I'm going to try and remember. It raises your heart rate, and it opens you up so that when you take the ayahuasca, it's more, they must work together in some way, I don't know, like a bread and butter. And there's something about the raw tobacco, and not everybody wanted to take the tobacco because they might not have, they might not be smokers, but there's something in that process that at the time it made sense. So I went with it.
Do you remember what it was called?
I don't. It's called something, but I think when you're in that moment of just like wanting to get through this, the name of anything is just so irrelevant. I'm like, okay, I've just got to keep calm here. So we're all in this together and with safe people, and the whole reassurance comes up. And yeah, I was first because I was I chose the bed that was right next to the teachers, which through the journey was very interesting of why I ended up where I ended up, because I could have chosen to be further away from it all, but there was definitely a moment in my ayahuasca journey that was very relevant to where I was placed, which I'll explain later. And after the tobacco, so I sniffed it, and straight away I went into the whole meltdown, like Amy meltdown mode. It was so sore, like my nose was burning, and it was trickling down, like everything felt sore, and I was going, ow, ow, ah, oh, is this meant to be like this? And I'm shouting over to them.
Sorry, I'm like
already went into like meltdown.
Yeah.
In the first like 2 minutes. And it was like, they were like, it's okay, just to do what you need to do, like scream, shout, yell, let it out, it's fine, it's meant to be like that. And I'm going, oh, if I taken a reaction, like it's so sore, like ow, like just really. And then the next minute it was just like, Amy, just relax, like relax, it's okay. So I was like, okay, oh right, okay. So I was just like, felt like I just ran a marathon or something. Or I settled into my bed, and then I remembered my hot water bottle, because it was like lying beside me, and it was like, okay, I'm going to take my hot water bottle and I'm just going to curl up, and I was like, oh, I've not taken the ayahuasca yet. That's only the tobacco. It was like, cute. Hey, that's not even it. Okay, so I settled down a little bit, and it was just the part of the very beginning of it. It was the unknown.
Yeah.
And so I got my hot water bottle, but then once the pain had gone of the burning, and you sort of do a bit of bulking and spitting up. I mean, this would put anybody off, but it really is. It's worth 2 days or 1 day of absolute torture to clear everything and not have to go through that again, because of the clearing that it actually does. So it is definitely worth it in that very short space of time of that feeling out of control. So I sat back into like my body, and I just, in that moment, I felt my whole head had lifted, like something had released, and I felt really like calm. So I thought, okay, that's quite nice, actually. I feel quite good. So I was like, right, I'm ready. I'm ready to take the ayahuasca. I'm doing it. Like, I'm facing it. Let's do this. So I went into the let's do this mode.
Yeah.
Like, yes. Like, okay, I'm excited. I'm going to do this. Like, I was trying to do everything that I needed to do to just get through it. Which is another thing, because it's like, you don't want to just get through it and pretend that you haven't, like almost closing your eyes and wishing it away. It's like an experience. If you're going to go through it, just enjoy it and embrace it and feel it, and then let it go. So I took the ayahuasca, and then I remembered that I didn't even know what ayahuasca was, in terms of I was like, oh, what do we do with it? Do we drink it? It was just like, like so naive to actually how we take the ayahuasca. I hadn't asked the question. So it's in this like really brown, syrupy, thick form, and it's like a little shot of tequila or something.
Yeah, but it doesn't taste like syrup or tequila, does it?
So it's like brown, syrupy, like I would say like an aniseedy, no, not aniseed, like I can't even describe the taste of it, but it's just really thick and brown.
I don't know if it's because I don't have a sense of smell, but I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say. It's a lot of people say it's like the most disgusting thing they've ever tasted ever. But I'm like,
I would agree. It's not. I would say the tobacco experience was worse.
Yeah, because it's not like, I don't think it's like a yummy taste. Jeez, okay.
Yeah,
but it's not the worst. It didn't make me want to puke the second I drank it. Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's the most disgusting thing. You can barely drink it. But I don't have a sense of smell, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, sometimes like people would take it and just that alone would be enough for them to like be sick.
Yeah.
So I took the ayahuasca, and like the funniest part, Heidi, like this was the really funny part, because we all, like, once we all took the ayahuasca, it was like such a unique situation, like just sitting there and looking at everyone, and we're all just like on our beds, and it's that moment where you're just waiting. Everybody is waiting for something to happen. They don't know what's going to happen, so we're all just like do 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 do, like oh, like there's a monster or something. You just like that moment of just like you're waiting for something that you don't know you're waiting for. Like, no idea what is about to happen. Are you going to hallucinate? Are you going to lose your mind? Are you going to come out of your body? Are you going to be taken away to like evil land? Are you you don't know.
Yeah.
So in that moment, it was like, okay, like I have to start thinking about this is me and my journey, because I was too focused on everybody else. Like, what are they doing? Like, are they sitting up? Are they lying down? Are we meant to be sitting up during this process? Or is it better if you lie down? Like, you just go through all of these kind of questions. And it's like, well, whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay. So I had to kind of like try and block out everybody else and just try and go into me and into myself. And so I did with my hot water bottle. It was like that moment of slithering and sliding underneath your blankets. And then you just lie and you just close your eyes and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna, do I feel normal? What's happening? Am I normal? Am I seeing people? And so you're just still going through all of this, okay? Because your mind, you're fighting the control. You want to be in control of everything that's happening, right? To your surroundings, your body. And the moment you feel like you've lost control is the moment that it's being able to allow yourself to go and release and trust. But that battle is like you're fighting so hard to do everything to keep that control. And I would say it was about half an hour. It took about half an hour for me to just settle, like just switch off a little bit and just like allow me just to go, right, okay, I'm just going to enjoy this experience. So going back to being the time with my mum, I could feel like my whole body started tingling and vibrating. So it was like tingling, vibrating all the way from like the tips of my toes, all the way up my legs and my thighs, and like my whole body and my head. And I knew it was like, okay, that's ayahuasca, like working its way through my body. So I felt something light and different. And then
almost like a scanning your body type thing.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. It was from like my toes all the way up, like as though ayahuasca was scanning my body, getting to know my body and what I need and my journey that I was going to have and what needed to come out. That was the kind of way that I felt. Was like, okay, you're going to get to know me and you're working your way through. And then next to me, all of a sudden, very quickly, was like wailing, puking, screaming. It was just like, I got fright of my life because I hadn't even started. I didn't even know what was going on at this moment, but this girl next to me was not having a good time. And that alone was like scary. It's like, but I kind of then switched off because obviously too much is happening in this moment for me to then, you're a little bit like woozy. And so I sat up the moment that I felt like something working inside of me. And I sat up and all I seen was like the room it was like you were a level up. So, you know, when you think about the third eye and this whole like third eye, so you're in another dimension, but everything was just like so peaceful. And I had all this little diamonds in color. And I can imagine, the only way I can explain it is the shakers that you get, the circular shakers that you turn around and you see all the different colors of shapes and like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. I can't figure out.
I don't know what they're called.
But is it like, I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue.
It's this cylinder and you twirl it around, like kids love it, and it makes shapes and colors. And so like everything turned into this gorgeous place, like really, really, like I felt so amazing, like just so, like my heart and my, like the pain and everything had just released in that moment. And I just thought, okay, I feel safe now. So whatever happens, I know that I feel at peace and safe. So I'm kind of like stepping into the ayahuasca, like I'm trusting a little bit of the process, because I'm going, okay, I've got a feel for how this is going to be, still trying to control the situation. It's like, okay, I'm happy with this, and we're going to stay here for the rest of the journey because I like it here. Like, I was just like,
good luck with that.
Little did I know it tricked me. It threw me into a very false sense of, yes, this is a very nice place to be, and it's very comfortable, and it's where I wanted to be. And in that moment, what had happened I don't know how long it lasted. It felt like 2 hours. It could have been an hour. My whole body almost like switched off. I was so exhausted. I was so tired. Ayahuasca gave me exactly what I needed to kind of tiptoe into the journey. I was just the lead up and the exhaustion, just feeling so exhausted with my life. It almost put me into 10 years of sleep. I could not move, Heidi. I was absolutely in this state of pure calm. Never felt so calm in my whole life. I didn't even know what it, I didn't even know what being calm was, because I just hadn't experienced it on that level. It was like, I felt the tears. I felt like just overwhelmed feeling of just, wow, like, this is what it feels like. This is what Zen is like. Like, people that are like, yeah, man, like, I'm in my zone, like, I'm chilling. And like, I was just like, I've never felt that before.
Yeah.
To just
total
feel
peace, you know.
Yeah, just, so I felt it and I loved it. And then all around me was pain and torture. Like, there was lots of people already going through their stuff, and I couldn't understand why. Was I feeling so amazing? But I wasn't. I was allowing myself to feel amazing. I was like, they've got their journey and I've got mine, and I just feel like so happy right now. Like, this is amazing. And I just enjoyed it. Like, I really did. Like, I loved the peace. And I tried to get up as well, but I couldn't. There was no moving. It was like my body had gone into a frozen state, and it was not going to let me move 1 inch. It was like, you're going to stay there and you're going to rest your body and you're going to be at peace. And that's all you're going to experience. I don't think I had many visuals. This was more feelings. A lot of people talk about the visuals, but that came later, trust me. That was on the second day. But the first day was like very much about the experience of the feelings. So I felt really, really good. I felt really, really trusting of ayahuasca. And I also felt like ayahuasca, like the feeling of somebody just wrapping me up in cotton wool and protecting me like a baby. And like, I just felt like I was in a hammock and everything was just so beautiful. And so the teachers obviously seen that I was very like lovely and like, oh, this is just so amazing. And oh, just gonna be here forever. Like, I will go through this ayahuasca all the time.
I know, what's the big deal? What?
Okay. So I understand why it did that, because if it gave me what I experienced the second night, the first night, I think I would have, well, I just wouldn't have managed. I would have really freaked big time. But it was very clever how it creeped in like that, and how it gave me so much confidence in ayahuasca to be able to really let go. So then after that, she came over to me and she said, oh, no, in that transition, I felt like it was wearing off. Like, because I started focusing, because I felt so good and I felt at peace. And then maybe like after the first hour, it was like, I just wanted to go and help everybody. Like, I was the shaman. I was like, I've done my work. Yeah, I've done my work. It's done. Now, my intention was to be at peace and to let go. And my job is done. Do you need any help? I can come and help. Like, you know, with
did you offer that
or something? What's that?
Did you offer to help?
Well, no, not quite. That's how I felt
Yeah,
inside. Like, I had done my work in the first hour. It was like, yeah, like, that's amazing. Like, then I focused on everybody else in the room, and they could see that. They're very intuitive, and wow, they helped me a huge amount in the journey. And they really triggered me as well. Like, they knew how to really, they just knew what to do in every moment and every step of the way, which is so important. To have that trust in your teachers. And in that moment, she said to me, I think you need some more. And I was like, oh, more, right? Okay, well, what would that mean then? Because I like this place, like, I'm quite happy here. And she's like, okay, I think we need to go deeper. All right. Are you okay with that? Like, it's your decision whether you take more or not. But I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, bring it on. Like, this is amazing. So that was it for me. Yeah. That was definitely my peaceful blissness over with. I experienced what it was like. It was a very lovely start to the journey. But then I took the second cup of ayahuasca. And again, I settled back in. And it's like when you go to like the Buddha world, where you just see like all the elephants and all this, like the music and everything, just every single part of the music that was playing, and I could just feel everything vibrating through my body. And again, it was like very peaceful. But then very quickly after the second cup, it went really dark. It was like, okay, I've got you now. Now you're going to face your fears.
Yeah.
And it was really scary, because I was trying to gain control, but I was quite out of it as well. And then I was just like, I remember at one point saying, I can't believe I've paid for this. Like, why would I pay to go through such pain? Like, what am I doing here? Like, why have I done this to myself? In that kind of but like going back to just the sense of being out of control, and that is quite a thing, where there's this whole kind of wanting to be in control of everything. And in that moment, I lost control. My whole body just kind of like evaporated. Like I had to just go with it. It was like I had no choice. I had to just go through the journey. And rather than it being very like imagery, it was like more feelings. So it kept giving me feelings of like this bliss and like love and protection. But then what came up is very, very quickly, and it's so hard to explain, but I'm going to try and explain this as best as I can. I went through a journey of emotions, because one of the intentions was to bring up these emotions that were stuck, that were held inside of me, and to bring them to the surface and let them out and say, goodbye.
Yeah. You
don't belong in my body anymore. Like, I'm done with you. You've held me back, and I have put myself through so much torture and pain. So what happened is it shows you, like, it could be like, because I was so scared and it was dark and there was things that I was seeing, and although I couldn't really see what I was seeing, I felt so horrible, like evil, really evil feelings of just like, oh, like, and it came from like your sacred, like your
root chakra,
the root chakra. Yeah. Like, oh, and it was like motion, like building like through the body, like almost like, I don't know, like just this thing coming like out. And then it was like, oh, I felt so like sick. Like, it was just like, I felt the first like whoosh of, but it was like ayahuasca was like pushing something inside me to say, like, the pain and the feeling, the anger, and there was like jealousy, and it was just like, yeah, all of this, like all of this stuff that you have done to yourself, it's living in your world, in your reality, has to get pushed out. And it's just like, wow, just being able to explain that. So it's like they give you the feeling in whatever way, whatever you need to see to bring up that feeling of jealousy and evil. Like I actually felt like the devil, you know, like the little devil icon, the emoji. Like then I just shot up off the bed, like, and it was just like, I felt it. And it was like, yes, that's it. You're going to get out all this like pain and torture and all these bad words, like swear words and this aggression. And it was just like, oh, like so much. It was like, oh, wow. Like I felt every kind of like emotion. And then it was just like this feeling as if somebody had like tapped your back. And Heidi, it was like, wow, I vomited, like projectile vomit everywhere, and I didn't stop. Like I did not stop for hours. And it was like, yep, that's it, let it out. It wasn't sick. There was nothing, because you've done your detoxing before. It's almost like your body, it's like releasing almost like this evil out of your body. And it's just the most like, it's so hard to actually explain what happens. But the way to describe it is like, when I was like vomiting in the bucket was like evil. And this, whatever was coming out of my body, I felt. It wasn't like I was being sick. It was all of the trauma. It was all of the stuff that I'd been carrying. I felt it. Like I knew it was stuck. There was jealousy. There was like so much anger with things that I felt like I was forced to do, that I didn't want to do, that I was made to do, things, situations that I put myself through, that I really didn't want to do in that moment, but I did it because I wanted to please other people. There was people pleasing. There was just so much, and I didn't stop. Like I had like about 15 buckets. It was just, it went on and on. But the more I projected, the more I let go. And then I would lie back down and get my hot water bottle, and I was crying, like crying so much, because I knew it was releasing. I felt it. I knew I was in the right place. And although I felt so scared and petrified, I felt so happy in that moment, because the release of letting it all out. And then I'd lie back down, and then again you were like tricked into this false sense of like peace again. So I kept going back to the peaceful moment, because I let go of, say it was the emotion of feeling stuck and feeling frustrated, like all this frustration. And so I let that go, and then I'd go back to my bed, and then I'd try and find my own little peace in my hot water bottle, and like everything was so lovely again. But then the teachers would then come and sing at your bed, and it was just gorgeous, like all these beautiful moments of like things that were happening around me, like musical instruments, and it was meant to be peaceful and gorgeous. But I was like, oh, like, no, like, it's annoying me. Like, stop it. Like, I got so, like, upset through all these noises, the frustration. They done something to really, really trigger me, to the point where I was just like, I knew that it was coming again. There was like triggers, the emotion. It was deep. And I was like, I'm ready this time. So I was just like, back to the bucket. Okay, here we go. This is a more releasing, more feelings coming up. And again, it was so much. It was so intense. It was so mind-blowing. That I couldn't stop crying and wailing and being sick, and to the point where I couldn't do it anymore. Like I was done, when I, like that moment where it was like that feeling of just being done with life. Like I couldn't even be sick anymore. And then, so I lay back down and I was exhausted, like my whole body. It was just like, okay, I'm done. And then you go back to La La Land. So you're very much like, oh, that's so lovely. And then I felt like unconditional love. Like my whole heart started like warming and like tingling, and like I just felt so amazing. Like and I couldn't stop crying because I was so grateful. Like I was so happy that I had like released some emotion, like stuck emotion. But then it would all be like so la and so lovely, but then all of a sudden out of nowhere, it was like I wasn't allowing myself to be happy and in this blissful state. It was like I was feeling like trying to stop it because I'm not used to feeling so happy and so blissful. So again, there was like some triggers there of not allowing myself to be happy and not feeling worthy of just being at peace and being happy. So maybe there was something in that moment that, again, I wasn't allowing myself to just be at peace. It's like I can't even be at peace for 5 minutes without like getting myself upset. Or so again, this just really strong emotions came up, and a lot of it was quite like sexual as well. Like it felt like maybe there was stuff in my life that I felt like I was forced to do, or that maybe I truly deeply didn't want to do them. But a lot of things that I've been doing is to please that other person. And it was just like, that's it, that's going to come up, and you're going to release that because you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to release it. And so this process went on, and kind of trying to remember like the images, and it wasn't really, there was lots going on in the journey and that I was seeing, like colors and shapes, and feel it. It was all very much emotions. Yeah. And this went on for 6 hours. It felt like the longest journey of my life.
But what a detox. That's mental.
Oh, Heidi, it was just
such
like
a detox.
But then I got into it, and then I was like, okay, I really trusted by the end that, because I felt all these emotions and because they were released, but it was just at the same time, it was so hard, like it was so horrible. And then it didn't stop, Heidi. It was everywhere. Like I'd gone beyond the bucket.
Yeah.
It was like, in fact, because I'm trying to remember, like I'm getting flashbacks. It was like the devil was living inside of me. Like I would never want to admit that I was a devil, but I partly had.
We all have. We all have like different energies that we put into our bodies. It doesn't mean that our soul is in any way has a devil part, because the soul, I think, is like all in source. I think it's the devil is more like a just lower vibrational thing that we put into our bodies, I think.
Yeah.
You were about to release. So it's
that's
not you,
it. It's
obviously.
more the feeling. It's not me. I wasn't like the devil, but it felt like all of the emotions that I had been collecting through other people.
Yeah.
And it's sticking to me, taking on other people's traumas and hurt and experience and family and ancestors and everything being stuck to me, plus all my own stuff. It was like, it felt like I was living in hell.
Yeah.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello, beautiful, beautiful lady. I got myself a cup of raw cacao. Like, speaking of plant medicine, raw cacao is also a plant medicine, and it's so yummy. It doesn't have to taste disgusting like it does in certain ceremonies. But check out this cup. Isn't this a beautiful cup?
Oh, it's so Heidi. I've got some lovely earrings like that, actually.
Yeah. Oh, do you? Oh, so lovely.
Yeah, I could just see you with those in too. Oh, this is Hugo coming to say hello.
Oh, hi, Hugo. Hi. Hi, sweetie. Oh, he's beautiful.
My spiritual friend sent from the heavens. That he's definitely a protector.
Yeah, I think so. Like, honestly, like, Amy has seemed so happy since she got Hugo. So
I know.
I can't wait to meet him either. Hey, Hugo. Hi.
Oh,
I don't know why I start talking like hi.
Yeah, I know. You start talking like a little baby.
Yeah.
It's like always. Yeah, I think because of like the ups and downs and the journey, it's like he's been here for me every step of the way, and he's shown me that, yeah, it's definitely like shown me the love and the unconditional love. And the journey with ayahuasca was definitely, I would say, a step up from that, like without having to search on the outside and have that attachment to things and to people and to the outside of who we are. But actually, when you have the self, the true essence of peace and self-love and unconditional love for yourself, it's such like that cliche like saying, it's like, oh, you have to find it within you. And I never really understood that. I was like, I love myself. Of course I
don't think, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think that most people that say that, they don't know what they're talking about either. They just can't deal with you being sad. I think it's like, oh, you just need to learn to love yourself. I was like, oh, right, yeah, piece of cake.
I know, yeah. And it's like, okay, but why would I not love myself? I've never looked in the mirror and said, oh, I don't like you, or I don't like the way you look, and I couldn't understand like the process, because in my mind I didn't not like myself. But what I'd realized is, along the journey, I picked up so much stuff from other people, from outside situations, out with my control, and through certain situations where I blamed myself and I tortured myself through these experiences, rather than just saying, well, you know what, if if somebody doesn't want you, it's like, now, maybe a week ago, another rejected moment would have been the end of the world. Even although I know that everything happens for a reason, and it's not for you. What's not for you will not go by you. And it's like, I know this stuff, but yeah, I will still feel so bad and so low and so like unworthy, even although I know what I know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I bet now it just feels different. It's almost like when you read people's, I don't know, like maybe on Instagram and this whole warrior stuff, like the armor, like women warriors, like when they've got this armor and it's like nothing can touch me. Like I have got my shield and my protection, and I love unconditionally, but I'm not going to allow all these, like every single emotion that comes to me. It's not mine. I don't need to take it. It doesn't belong to me. And I never quite understood really what that felt like, because I always used to say, yeah, I'm made of steel. Like, you know, I'm like a warrior, and like, I kind of thought I was, but I didn't really know, I didn't feel like really what that was. But in the last couple of days, already just being tested, and like I feel like I've got some armor on. Like I'm just like, and wow,
yeah, and
this is really amazing. Like, because all of this stuff, not all of it, you know, I think there's another ayahuasca trip, maybe, you know, next year, or it doesn't mean, oh wow, it's completely gone, but certainly a huge amount has been lifted from me.
Yeah.
That opens me up to, wow, life and possibilities and opportunities, because I'm not holding on to that like hurt and pain. And it's like, so now that that's shifted and it's gone, it's like I can make room. It's like, wow, I'm like really here. Like I'm present, I'm awake. It's like an awakening. And oh, you get so excited because like I go on tangents and I'm like, I've forgotten where I was going with that.
No, but I love it. You're like, so good at storytelling as well. It's like you're so good at expressing yourself and getting into it. And I just love how you explain it. It's really, really fascinating to listen to. Like I've always loved listening to your stories, or not that this is a story. It's not, obviously not fiction. It's actual based on a true life. Story.
This is definitely real life. And yeah. I think as well, like if you can look at everything that passes by your life as an experience and not attach yourself.
Yeah.
Like not attach yourself, but like to have more fun. Like it is a play. It doesn't mean that because of a certain situation and its outcome that that's who you are, or you have to be sad or angry or resentful, or it's like these things are going to happen regardless. And I think once you step away from saying, oh, that's me and I have to feel like sad because that other person's sad, like you can have empathy. But I think where I'm going with this is I realized that I was just taking everything and anything on my shoulders, and it just got too much, and I didn't know how to retract from that because it had gone so far where you don't really feel like you anymore. It's like, this is not me. Like I'm a happy person, like the true like person that I remember, like being a child and like being happy and grateful. And like when all of that like dies inside of you, it feels like you're kind of almost slowly, something's dying.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like how do I find me? Like where can I look to just find that spark for life? Like where it must be here somewhere. And what the ayahuasca did was, although it removed a lot of the pain and the hurt and the emotions, that's what my intention was. I asked for it and I received what I asked for. But through that learning and facing those emotions and dealing with them and letting them go and releasing them, was the other side of feeling whole, feeling at peace, like every single thing that I had been looking for in the external world of like people, men, family, approval, was all like outside of me. It's like I constantly needed approval. I constantly needed something in order for me to feel whole. So going through that journey and then realizing and being shown that actually everything is already living inside of me. And I've heard people saying this, but I've it's only words. I didn't really experience like, what does it feel like to have that feeling of feeling whole and feeling at one and feeling peace, like internally. And that is what came out of all of the like explosions and the like the evil. And it was like out of all of that, all along was actually me that created the kind of monster in me. Like I had done that. It was everything that it was like I had tortured myself and letting all of that go, and then coming through that and experiencing like self-love for yourself, and that feeling of just, it was almost like your inner child, and like you're coming home. It's like it's time to come home now, and you come home to yourself, and it's just like, oh my goodness, it's so like you'll never be able to explain it until you felt it. And I've never felt that before, and then when you do, you're so grateful. And then you come to that place of going, wow, that little, like that huge amount of love and great, like gratitude means so much. And that's all anyone is ever looking for, is just to feel at peace with themselves.
And understanding that they are the love that they seek, that, like you said, that gets all within you. Like, it makes me so happy that you have experienced that and seen your true self, or felt your true self, because that is always what you are. And even though, and I can speak from experience, that you will, because I mean, it's life, you'll start to sort of forget that, and then you come back, and then you forget again, and you know, but having had that experience of that love, that it's you know that it's inside you, so that you can always like think that next time, you know, so you feel bad, it's like, but I know that I'm so much more. I know that I am that love. And you know, and it is like you say, it's hard to explain. It's almost like explaining to someone what it's like having a baby that hasn't had a baby. Like you can't, like you can explain it, but you you never know what it's like until you have that, and that you feel that love that you feel for a baby as well. So
and talking about babies, the way that I could explain the experience is, when you're giving birth, at that moment, it's like something that you'd never want to do again, because it's so, you know, sometimes it can be quite traumatizing what the body goes through. But once you go through that experience of the soreness and the painfulness and just the experience, which can be quite uncomfortable, you're left with something so blissful and so worthwhile that you've instantly forgotten about that short-term journey of pain that you've went through.
It's a really good metaphor.
That's it. And that I seen that in ayahuasca, because when I was in it, no way was I doing it again. In fact, Heidi, I said, I'm out of here. When I wake up in the morning, I'm out. I'm going. I'm flying back to Scotland.
See ya.
I've left, all my emotions have left me, and I'm I'm not doing that again because it's too soon. Like, I need at least a month in between that first one. Like, that was horrific, what my body's been through, and I need to digest. I need to really just take all of that in. That's a huge amount to release and to take in, and I need a break. So I said to the teacher, yeah, I'm not coming back. I'm going to leave tomorrow. I've decided I'm not going to do the second ceremony. And he was like,
you texted
okay.
me too. You're like, I don't know if I can do a second night. I mean, I've been through hell.
I know. It was like, it's so blissful.
And I didn't say anything. I was just like, you do what you feel is right. I kind of knew you were going to do a second night. I just had this feeling that you were going to do it. But yeah.
Like, I was so heavy as well. And I said to them, like, if I was to feel like this tomorrow, I've got to fly home. Like, if I was only doing one ceremony and I'd only booked one ceremony, I wouldn't have been able to leave today because I am so, like, I could not have traveled. And he said to me, but you were always going to stay for 2 nights. You made that choice, and ayahuasca has worked with you in your time that you're here. So you've had a very traumatic experience in the first night, but let's see what the second night brings you.
Yeah. So what happened during the second night?
Okay, I'm going to like really summarize this one because I did go into a lot of detail in the first one. Because my body was open to the ayahuasca, so it is very easy to go quicker, deeper, faster. The first time was very slow. This time I took the first cup of ayahuasca. That was it. Boom, boom, pow, lights out. Let's do this. Wow. 1 cup is all I needed. I mean, from beginning to end, the 1 cup was just enough. Yeah, maybe I could have went a little bit deeper, but it was already quite intense. The most scariest half an hour of my life, I had no control, completely lost all control of my body. I floated up to the other world of, well, like of, it's when you see the like the Hindu, the Indian sort of like Buddha, all of the Buddha land. Yeah, but it was really scary because I'd left my body and I'd went to another world. Yeah. This time it was very visual. Everything was visual. And I seen the snakes. So the snakes started like coming at me, and all this like gooey blood was like coming in and out of, it was like a screen, and it was almost like trying to get me. And then it would disappear, and then a snake would come into sight, and then it would disappear. And I said ayahuasca, and I was so scared, but I just said, just please work through my body to heal my body and do what you need to do. If I see anything that I'm scared of, I'm just going to allow it to pass through the body and work with me and not be scared. And I did that. I let all of the images come in. A lot of like the Joker, the evil, like being in a world, like an absolute different world of just oh god, I can't even explain it. Like, I don't know, like the snakes, the nature. There was lots of beautiful moments, but like my family were there and they kept like turning into different like evil people. Gosh. And in that moment I knew that there was still unfinished business, because at the end of the first ayahuasca trip I felt like I was wanting to be sick at the very last moment, but I didn't. I managed to just close everything up. So I I almost had the unfinished business. So it brought up these like dark, horrible feelings again, and the images, and the snake was like rippling through my body, and like I didn't like it. And I was like curled up in a little ball, like trying to escape. And I just didn't like it. I was crying and crying. I was like, I just want this to be over. Like, hurry up, and do what you need to do, because I was so petrified. And I remember the teacher saying, at any point, you can tell ayahuasca to slow down the process. You know, you can talk to ayahuasca and tell her, and it was too much. It was like being out of control, being in a different world, like seeing things, and the snakes, and just wrapping around the body, and like all these like scary noises almost, and like reds and blacks, and like, it's so hard to explain. But anyway, I was sick again, and that was still more stuck emotion that came up, that was like very, oh, that was what it was. I just remembered that moment of the anxiety, like an anxiety emotion that really surfaced up, and it was telling me that it was like, this is your anxiety, like all of your anxiety that lives inside of you. You don't need to be anxious anymore. Like, it's going to go. And I'm like, yep, I'm ready. Let's get rid of all this anxiety.
Let's do this.
Like, let's do this. So here I was at the moment again. And like, I felt like I was getting quite good at the process. I was like, right. And then I was so proud of myself, because I asked the shaman to come over, and I felt like it was stuck. I even after exploding, I was like, there's more. Like, I feel it. I need it to go. And I said, can you help me? So I asked for help in that moment, and he gave me, they give you stuff to help you, like purge. And so I took the stuff, and it just surfaced up, and it was just like, wow, you know, this is again bringing stuff up. But I was like, I was so scared in that moment. That was the scariest part, the first part of that, because I just didn't like it. I didn't like any of it. Like, I was shaking, like I didn't know. Then I had to be lifted to the toilet as well. I couldn't walk. I didn't know if I was going to be sick, what way it was going to come out. I felt like I was going to pass out. I felt so not in control of anything. And it was just like, I actually felt like my soul was dying. And I was slumped over, like trying to go to the toilet, and they were both carrying me. And it was just like, I felt like I was just in a sick hospital where everybody was dying. And it was just like, I couldn't stop crying. So got back from the toilet, back with a hot water bottle, and then that was it. It was like, your work is done. That was it. From that moment on, so much had came up. I was like completely, it was like that moment where everything's up here, and then you just release, and it's just like, oh. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it. Like, it's just like amazing. Like, I've done it. Like, I've done this. I feel it. Like, it's like, I was so happy with myself. Like, it was just like, I've got the whole night to go. But I knew I had done so much work the night before, and that was it. Everything just settled. Like, ayahuasca settled me down, and I just seen like lovely, just all the lovely little imaginary, like the pinks and the flowers and beauty, like just everything just beautiful, just emerged, and like just gorgeous. Like, all the little sounds were so beautiful, and like the birds and just everything became beautiful.
Yeah.
And then came the messages of what I really needed to learn, and like just why I was there. So it's like I'd let go of all of the emotions and the hurt and pain, and it was like, okay, that's gone, and now we can give you your messages. And I had been singing in lockdown the song "The Power of Now" by Alexis Cello. I'll send you the song. It's called "The Power of Now," and I've been singing that in lockdown to myself. It's such a powerful song. I just loved it so much. And I remember like just looking up, and I was like being hugged and held so tightly, and my whole body was like it melted into gold. Like I was just like gold inside of me. It was like my heart just, I thought I had experienced peace. I thought I experienced self-love, unconditional love. But this was then on another level. It was like, wow. Why? Like, I felt like I could just do anything. It was like, I was so excited about life. It was like, I wanted to just get up and I was ready to live my life. I was done. I was like, can I go home now? I just had that feeling of just pure, like, oh, it's so hard to explain, but just everything that I needed was just right here. So I was crying and crying and crying, and I went through lots and lots of tears. And the strongest message that came out in all of the crying, and I kept crying until the message was really, really clear. And ayahuasca basically said that, like, I don't need to be scared anymore. Like, I don't need to be fearful. Like, I've got so many friends that I might not, like, I felt so alone, and I felt like so unloved, and all of these old feelings that weren't true. And I was just being held for ages, and I was crying and crying. It was like I was so loved, and I have so many people around me that love me, and I don't need to be scared anymore. And like everything that I have, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to talk about your feelings and emotions when you need to and want to. And it's okay to have sad days. You don't have to like put yourself down about it. But it was such a strong message that, like, I don't have to go to the supermarket anymore and like be scared. Like, there's nothing to be scared. There's no monsters down the supermarket. But when you're so like overwhelmed with life and emotions being so stuck in you, going to supermarket and having 20 loaves of bread to choose from is overwhelming, and it upsets me. I'm like, why could there not just be one? Like, why 20 loaves of bread to choose from? You know, it's like everything is too much. And like in that moment of just being shown that, like, now I want to go to the supermarket. Like, I want to go excited. I want to go buy like fruit, and like, it wasn't the supermarket that was scary. It was just all of the emotions that had built up that were just holding me back, not actually going shopping. And like, just that strong message of it is okay. Like, your fear is gone. You are loved. Like, people everywhere you look is love. Like the world is not against you. The world is with you. And the moment that you turn that around, and this whole kind of like projection of just like feeling loved, and like everything just changes around you. And it was so life-changing and mind-blowing at the same time. And
such a beautiful message.
Yeah.
And
I never want to go through that experience the same again, because I feel like, okay, I've gone through that experience and I've hopefully released what I've needed to release, and it's very scary, but I know that maybe in years to come, the moment that I feel like I can't do life anymore, if it becomes too much, that is a place that I'm going.
Yeah.
That's my place of releasing and letting go, because we're all so different in what we need. And some people need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Some people are expressive, but for me, clearly needed to, it was a release. Physically, something needed to happen in order for me to just move forward with my life and not feel so scared anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, you asked me to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, a week ago, I would have just been like, no way. Like, I just would melt and break down. But I don't mind breaking down, because it would be through gratitude and through being so happy to be here. But it's just absolutely transforming.
Yeah.
Like it's just gonna be like such a transitional point in my life that I'll take with me forever into my new life. Like, it's almost like that's my old life. Part of me died, but not me, as in, like, it's not that I've lost who I am, but I've shedded away all of the unwanted feelings.
Yes, like maybe it's more like you've gained who you really are.
Yes.
You know, the parts of you that have died were just like dead weights that was just weighing you down, and now you're like lighter, I suppose.
Yeah. I'm definitely lighter. And so the other thing is, like, for like listeners who would go to ayahuasca or maybe feel inspired to go, and you've said this to me as well, Heidi, that it's not okay, I'm going to go and do ayahuasca and then I'm going to walk away, my life's perfect and everything is going to change and I don't have to do anything anymore. Like, it gives you the messages and it gives you what you need. And yes, it releases emotions and it makes you feel lighter and it makes you feel wonderful. But you're always going to be faced. When I came back, Hugo had been attacked by another dog. Well, it wasn't really like that. I think, it takes two to tango. And something happened, but I came back to something not so nice.
Yeah.
And then the next night Hugo ran away. He ran out of the door and ran. And I would normally freak, like all these things, like to test me was like, wow, I'm going to see how I respond in these situations. And that's where I was talking about the armor, was like, wow, like maybe in 2 weeks' time, there's going to be stuff coming up, but you've got to be able to do the work and apply and keep moving forward, but also just making sure that you're taking what you've learned, the good stuff, with you as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's definitely a life-changing experience.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was unbelievably exciting listening to, and it was just I love it so much. I love the whole kick-ass healing that you went
Yeah.
through. I'm so happy for you that you did it, and I'm so proud of you for doing it. I'd be proud of you even if you hadn't done it, obviously, but you know, when
you're always proud of me, Heidi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's almost like when
I'm
you
proud
see
of you
somebody
too.
that you love that's carrying junk, and you're
Yeah,
like,
I know.
you need to drop the junk. Like, I also have lots of junk, you know, but you know, and ayahuasca has helped me
It's
with
a
that,
journey.
you know. So, but
I
I'm
know.
so grateful to
Oh.
for this interview and to have you as my friend, and I love you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for inviting me to share the story. And I hope it wasn't too long-winded, but I got so excited of going into like all the detail that it just whatever was going to come out was going to come out, right?
Oh, I loved it.